Okay, so year 10, for example, number 1. Hopefully you're going to start quite basic and then build up some more complex problems towards the end of the lesson. So to start with, a tube of sweets contains 10 red sweets, 7 blue sweets, 8 green sweets and 5 orange sweets. If a sweet is taken at random, that's really important, it's taken at random, what is the probability that it is a red sweet? So probabilities, we always write them as fractions, decimals, or percentages. Generally, I would advise going for a fraction unless the question starts with decimals, in which case work with decimals. But here, the probability of taking a red sweet, well, there are 10 red sweets in total. And then we want to think, well, how many sweets are there altogether? So the number of sweets there are altogether is 10 plus 7 plus 8 plus 5, which I think is 30. So the probability of a red sweet is 10 out of 30. And then where you can, it's good practice to simplify your fractions. And so we get 1/3. Part B, an orange sweet or a blue sweet. So when you've got this or here of something or something, that's an indication that you add the probabilities. When it's or, you add the probabilities. So the probability of an orange sweet would be 5 out of 30. The probability of a blue sweet would be 7 out of 30. And when we add them together, we get 12 out of 30. Again, it's a good idea to simplify your fraction because we can. Simplifying this, 12 and 30 have as their highest common factor 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So the probability is 2/5. For C, we're looking for the probability of not a green sweet. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can either add together all the ones that aren't green and just use that. Or you can think, well, the probability of taking a green sweet is, let me just switch pens, 8 out of 30. But because we don't want a green sweet, we take that away from 1. So we're doing 1 take away 8/30. Now 1 take away 8/30 is 22/30. And the reason for that is that 1 as a whole number is the same as 30 over 30. So 30 over 30, take away 8 over 30 is 20 over 30. That is our final answer. Let me just highlight all of our answers. With that in mind, year 10, can you use that to help you have a go at this next question here? So pause the video now, have a go at the question, and then once you've had a go, play the video again. Okay, so you should have paused and had a go at that, just going through the answers nice and quickly then. So Felix takes a rose from the vase. The probability of a red rose is going to be 12 out of 20. Simplifying that down gives 3/5. A yellow rose or a red rose, well, that is going to be 17. It's going to be 5 out of 20 plus 12 out of 20, which is 17 out of 20. And that can't be simplified. And then finally, for not a white rose, I'm going to do 1 take away the probability of a white rose, which is 3 out of 20. 1 take away 3 over 20 is 17 over 20. Just highlight those answers again. Okay, so year 10, if you have a go now at task 1 on the sheet, I don't want you to spend too long on this. I reckon in about 10-15 minutes time, you'll have done enough practice on task 1. If you feel like you're finding this quite tricky and you just need to spend a bit longer on it, that's okay. But for most of you, I would say about 10 minutes practice on task 1 will be fine. Then come back and we will go through task 2. Okay, so next bit, if you've got 2 independent events, and this word independent here means that one of the things happening doesn't affect the other thing, they're unrelated, they don't relate to each other in any way. So independent, To work out the probability of those two things happening, it's the probability of A multiplied by the probability of B. In short, what we've got here is a question. We've got told the probability that Gina goes to the gym is 0.9. We're told that the probability that Dave goes to the gym is 0.6, and these are independent. Because they're independent events and we want to find the probability that both of these things happen, all we do is 0.9 times 0.6, which is 0.54. And that there is the answer. Second example, potentially a tiny bit harder. We are told a coin, so like a head and tail coin, and a normal dice are thrown. Calculate the probability of getting a tail and a 5. So first of all, when you toss a coin, what's the probability of getting a tail? That's 1 in 2. The probability of rolling a 5 on an ordinary dice is 1 in 6, because there are 6 sides to the dice and one of them is number 5. So we multiply them, which gives 1 over 12, and that's it. For part B, the probability of getting like a head and an even number. So first of all, the probability of the coin landing on heads is 1 in 2. The probability of a dice landing on an even number is also a half. And the reason it's a half is because a dice has got 6 sides. 3 of them are even numbers. 3 over 6 is a half. We multiply and get 1 over 4. And that's it. That's all you need to know about independent events and working out the probability of them both happening. With that in mind, please have a go at task 2 now. Okay, so final bit, year 10, is this type of question here, so a little bit harder. Here we are told a dice is rolled twice, that's fine. Calculate the probability of the dice landing on an even number, and then a 5. So what you need to think about here is either, because the same dice is rolled twice, you could either get on the first roll an even number, and then on the second roll a 5, or on your first roll you could get a 5, and on your second roll an even number. So then we need to work out the probability of both things. So here the probability of an even number is a half, the probability of a 5 is 1 in 6. We multiply those and get 1 over 12. This time the probability of getting a 5 first and 1 in 6. The probability of getting an even number second is 1/2. We multiply those and get 1/12. To get our final answer, we add both of those probabilities together. So we do 1/12 plus 1/12, which gives 2/12. Simplifying the answer down is 1 in 6. That is our final answer there. For part B, really similar. So for part B, landing on a square number, so let's just think about that. We could have a square and a 2, or 2 and then a square. So in terms of a dice landing on a squared number, well, 1 is a squared number, 4 is a squared number. So the probability of a dice landing on a squared number is 2 in 6. And the probability of the dice landing on a 2 is 1 in 6. So I multiply those, which gets me 2 in 36. I do the same thing here, which is 2 in 36. And then at the end, we add both our options together. When I add them both together, I get 4 over 36. And that simplifies to 1/9. Final example of that type of thing, year 10, and then you get to move on to practicing task 3. So final question. Bag contains 5 yellow sweets, 3 green sweets, and 1 purple sweet. Fine. A sweet is taken out of the bag and then put back in. Fine. Then another sweet is taken out. So there's 2 separate picks. Okay. So this is like the first pick, and this is like the second pick. So find the probability that at least one sweet is yellow. So either I could get yellow, and then I could get not yellow. Or I could get not yellow, and then yellow. Or one more option this time. I could get yellow and then yellow, because that would be at least 1, okay? So then we work out each probability separately and then add them all together. So here, the probability of yellow is going to be 5 out of, well, in total there are 9 sweets in the bag. And then not yellow, well, 4 of them are not yellow, so 4 out of 9. Here, it would be 4 out of 9 times 4 out of 9. And then yellow and yellow would be 5 over 9 times 5 over 9. So working these all out, this is 20 over 81. I've made a mistake here, haven't I? That should say 5, sorry about that, year 10. This is also 20 over 81. And this here is 25 over 81. So to get my final answer, we add these options together. So it's 20 over 81 plus 20 over 81 is 25 over 81, which gives me the final probability of 65 over 81. And that there is the answer. With that in mind, you should spend the rest of today's lesson working through task 3 and make sure to send me your exit ticket questions at the end. Good luck. Let me know if you need any help.